Yeah, we're very excited to have Colby May here with us today. Colby May is a certified energy manager, having specialized in energy efficiency for the past 15 years. He's performed over 2,000 commercial sized energy audits on commercial sized facilities, including churches, seminaries, local governments, and universities, K through 12 schools and I'm sure much more as he will talk about. He has a master's degree from Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary in the area of ethics and society, and a BA from Texas Tech University. He spent time in the Dominican Republic of the Congo, focusing his studies on local churches' response in times of conflict. And he's passionate about empowering the church and sees energy sustainability as a means to change. He is also passionate about integral missions and sees the key to combating injustice starts in the heart. His current focus is leveraging sustainability impact in Nepal and India and beyond. And he has been married to Amanda May since 2001 and proud father of two sons. And we're just really excited to have him. We've met with him before, and really impressed with his work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me share real quick, get this going. Can y'all see everything okay? And let me get great. Thank you for the introduction. I need to update that. I think you got it from the website. I've been doing it since 2001, so about 24 years now out of Texas Tech. And yeah, so I wear two hats. I'm um, I'm a certified energy manager. I don't know. You can just raise your hand. Has anybody heard of a certified energy manager? And I can't see everybody, so I'm assuming no. Basically, I'm certified to manage energy. There is such a thing, and been doing it since 2001. Done about 2,000 churches, but about 5,000 facilities. But I'm also an ordained pastor. Went to Gordon Conwell, as Kate mentioned. Wrote my thesis in Congo during the Kivu conflict, which is part of the Rwandan genocide overflow. So it's just very, very ugly. Just the weapons of war and I won't get into all the nations, but I saw the church rise up, come together as one body to be a light in dark times. And I was like, that's when I want to connect energy management and just the working through the local church to really combat justice because I think it is holistic. You can't separate creation care from the rest. I think it's part of our call, and God calls us to be good stewards of His creation. So, all right, here we go. I know we have about 25 minutes or so. We have a lot of information. I think since we have a smaller group, if y'all are okay with it, if somebody has a question, maybe put it in the chat and I can answer it right then, since it's fresh. So we're gonna be talking about energy management. Well, this is kind of my story. This is a little, we have an office in Congo, sorry, of about four people, and we do a number of things there. But here in the US, we focus on doing energy audits at churches, not playgrounds. I don't know why I put this picture there, but at churches. So, quick facts that I think really sets the tone. In the US, we have different stats 350,000 to 400,000 houses of worship. And we tithe about $50 billion to the U.S. House of Worship. Now, of that, how much do you think we spend on utilities and energy? If you want to throw that number in the chat, go ahead. Like percentage wise, what do you think we spend on energy? And I can't see the chat, so I'll let y'all maybe answer a few of those. I see
I see 75.
75%,
Oh, you can't see.
60%. Of the 50 down 90%. I'm glad it's not that much. But yeah, good guess. We spend 20% or $10 billion per year. It's our second biggest budget item behind salaries. And a number of things. We give about 2% or 1 billion to missions. And I'm going somewhere with this. According to EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, 30% of the energy we use is wasted. Now that's good news because if we all, what that means is of this $10 billion spend, we could redirect $3 billion. That's easier said than done. I'm going to give you strategies to take home today, but we could redirect a $3 billion. Imagine the monetary, but the environmental impact that that has. And I'll show you here. Just by changing the way we operate and we run energy within our church. Does everything have to run 100% of the time? Absolutely not. And that's a big part of the 30% waste. And I'll talk about that as we move forward. But I see that 30% as good news because we don't have to spend money to save energy. But what gets in the way of saving energy? I'll just kind of go through these quick. Um, we're under-resourced, church budgets are hurt. We just don't have the resources we need to be as effective as we need. Um, I work with a lot of larger churches as well, like 500,000 square feet when they have this lot of budget. And we do a lot with seminaries. Um, when budgets are tight, the first thing they cut is the facility and energy department and maintenance department, which is not good because it causes deferred maintenance, which is very expensive. We're not pursuing ongoing education. Y'all are because you're here right now. Um, and so uh, sometimes the person in charge of energy at the church or actually facilities, he or she is wearing too many different hats. It's not just energy, but it's facility, security. Maybe they're also the pastor or the deacon, and they're not wearing one hat, they're wearing 30 different hats. And because of that, they're in reactive mode versus proactive mode. Right. So these are the things that are important when it comes to energy use within your house of worship. And I think there's a couple people from the Dallas area. I was born and raised in Dallas, and I'm in Austin now. So it's good to see some fellow Texans on the call here. But okay, another quick question to get this somewhat interactive. Oh, sorry, wrong slide. The next slide is the interactive part. But why energy management important? It's the second largest budget item. Cost of energy is supposed to increase by 300% here in the next 4 or 5 years. That you've probably already seen that. There's a number of reasons for that. And mostly that's cost of gas, not necessarily the cost of energy, but that increase in gas will increase electric use, etc. 30% of the energy we use is wasted and more. We're called to be stewards of God's creation. So these are all reasons why energy management is really vital, not just for being good stewards, but for the health of the building, funding for missions, ministry, and beyond. Okay, here's the interactive part. Let's try this again. So, question, which variable has the most impact on a building's energy consumption? I'll stop for a couple seconds if you wouldn't mind throwing an answer in the chat here. What do you think has the biggest impact on a building's energy consumption? HVAC, uh, and yes, ma'am, Sandra, we do a lot in Dallas and Fort Worth as well. So here's your answer. Occupant behavior, lighting. I'm going to show you a stat here in a second. Lighting is important. HVAC uses the most amount, but behavior impacts every single thing you do from building envelope to controlling the HVAC, controlling the lighting, etc. That has the most impact on a building's energy consumption. Now, here's a quick stat, just what you see. Churches typically fall in between schools and office buildings. But when I say I'm going to go do an energy audit, many churches will say, well, I just changed our lights over to LED, which is excellent. But look, LED is about, lighting is about, I would say 10 to 20% of your building energy use. Yes, refrigeration, cooking, plug load, things you plug in the wall is important. But look at HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. There's so much that goes into it that it's used about 50. And if you're in the Houston area or the coach is going to be closer to 70% of your energy use is related to HVAC. How you control your HVAC is so important. So I'm going to talk about that today in the time that we have. I'm going to keep going. when I'm doing an energy audit, I mean, I could talk about benchmarking for 2 weeks. There's so much to it, but it's the foundation of an energy audit and it tells us a story. How are we doing and how do we know what we need to do is what we need to do is understand how you are billed, electric and gas usage. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's like a gas gauge into a car. When you know what you have in the tank, you make better informed decisions. EPA says you can save about 7% per year just by actively understanding your utility bills. And there's so much science that goes into it and math that goes into it. And I don't have the time to go through all of it, but I do want to talk about a few things. So when you get your gas bill, you're measured your usage in what we call CCF, MCF therms, right? That's important. And then they'll multiply your therm use by a number of different things, and then you get your total cost. On your electric bill for your home, you're measured in just kilowatt hours. So say a 30-day period, however many kilowatt hours I use times the number of rates, that's what I'm used. Now, in your house of worship, especially in larger ones, you're charged for electric is your kilowatt hours and your demand, right? So if I take, what do I mean by demand? It's kilowatts used over a 15-minute period of time. If I take my month and I break it to 15-minute increments, right? You're charged the highest one-time 15-minute use. So say you have the lights on, it's early in the morning, and then now it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You have a lot going on at the church. You turn everything electric on at the same time. You have this surge of energy right here. And then even if it goes down and you're averaging, say, 100 kilowatts, but this one time 15-minute was 200 kilowatts, you're charged 200 times whatever your rate is. In Dallas, it's $20 per kilowatt. In Massachusetts, it's $30 per kilowatt. It's not just the amount of energy that you use, it's the rate at which you use it. Turning everything electric on at the same time can be very expensive. There's much more to it, but that's just kind of the foundation of it. So that's one of the things I would love for you to kind of walk away with is understanding how your house of worship is built. All right. There's one example of right. So understanding how you use energy tells a story. This is a Texas school. What do you see wrong with this graph? There's something wrong. I'm gonna see maybe in chat, see if somebody puts it up. And Joan, I think that it's based on how large your utility bill, your for a home, it's probably not charged demand, but for your church, you are probably charged demand, especially in the Dallas area. And good catch. Yes, June, July, August, where this is a school, but they're still running their HVAC during the hottest time of the year, during the summer months when nobody's in. Basically, we want to implement an unoccupied and healthy unoccupied set point and hope demand usage can come down here. So this one specific church slash school, we saw this. We saw a number of items. I won't get into it in detail for the sake of time, but they were running a HVAC schedule. We recommended they implement a summer schedule. Dehumidify, that's when you have outside air coming into the building. I won't get into that, but outside air dampers were 100% open, which is incredibly expensive because you have to wring that humidity out of the air. And so you have to bring that 110-degree heat or air in, cool it down to 32 degrees. Imagine how much cooling that uses. And then you have to reheat it back to 58 degrees so that your room is 70 degrees. So just really expensive practice. All of that, so I didn't put that slide in, but all of that saved that specific school $40,000 a year, and that's all no cost. It was all no cost, just understanding how you're billed, um, and then making, recommendations accordingly. We did a big project at 40 churches in Northern California, and we wanted to understand how much energy use they use per square foot. Again, for the sake of time, I won't get into that, but the higher the number, the more inefficient the church. So it just kind of shows the Northern California Archdiocese or Episcopal Diocese, which are the efficient churches. I mean, this is excellent church. This church right here has a steam system, not so good, but it just kind of shows you where you are. And there's a number of stories of why each church is doing, but I would say the overarching opportunity was no cost, low cost, changing the way you operate your HVAC. How are we on time?
You are okay.
Okay. Ditto, we did it for the Episcopal Diocese of Wyoming and for the Catholic Diocese of Wyoming, and found a number of things too. I mean, looking how much energy Church 7 uses versus Church 8. So there's so much opportunity here. Um, all right. I want to get in again, just if we can give it hopefully about 10 minutes. This section is an energy plan. It's hard to build a house without a blueprint. It's hard to start an effective business without a business plan. And it's hard to set, in my strong opinion, an effectively save energy without having some kind of energy plan. Now, and Carol mentioned this too when we spoke a couple days ago, that if you're interested in an energy audit, you can reach out to your local utility provider, and there's a good chance they offer free ASHRAE level 1. There are different levels of an energy audit. ASHRAE level 1, more in depth what we do, ASHRAE level 2, level 3, and so on. But most utilities offer a level 1, so at minimum, I'd recommend looking into your utility to get an energy audit done of your house of worship. For the sake of time, I'm not going to get into this one. Now, when we look at a church, we're looking at that graph I showed you earlier. But we're looking at HVAC lighting envelope. We have a thermal imaging camera where we're looking at duct leaks, plug load, utility bills, which we just talked about, water use. I mean, there's so much that goes into it, and I don't have time to go through all of this. I'm going to spend a lot of time on HVAC and then just one slide for the rest of them. But behavior is the largest opportunity. I don't know what, okay, here we go. HVAC control is so important. Here's one church we did in a Presbyterian church we did in Houston. I just saw a little uh, spelling error there. These are just all the different zones that this church had. But look, all of them are 24/7. Each zone should have its own unique life. They should have an own occupied set point and unoccupied set point. It is so important. Sometimes you'll hear your HVAC contractor say, keep it on at 70 degrees all the time. That because the cycling back and forth, it's damaging. The rule of thumb if you're unoccupied longer than 4 hours, that zone should be in an unoccupied set point. So each zone should have its own unique life. So this is just a very, very conservative. If this church is cycling on and off about 15 hours a day, just changing that by 2 hours, that's all we did is change it by 2 hours, could save $3,400 a year. I don't have time to get into the math of all of this stuff, but just a very conservative change. Imagine if they cut that in half. Instead of running 24/7, they only occupy the zones that they need. You can hear me really emphasizing on this because it's so important. Um, all these zones have a thermostat. This specific church, this is the equivalent taken, if they save, about $4,000 a year, that's equivalent to about 4,800. I don't know where those balloons came from. 48 or 4.8 cars per year. It's equivalent of driving 51,000 miles, 2,200 gallons of gas consumed, 22,000 pounds of coal burned. So it makes a difference from an environmental and a fiscal point of view. So here's some things I want you to take on. In your zone, right? In your church, if you have 5, 10, whatever zones, are you weak conditioning the entire building if we're only using this zone, right? Each one should have their own unique life. keep these in unoccupied set point and keep this one going if that's all you're using. Now, sometimes and you have different schedules and you don't know what rooms. I mean, definitely understand that. But if you have the ability, each of these should be unique. Use already conditioned zones. If this one's on and this one's off, and this takes 2 hours to reach set point, use a zone that's already conditioned because it's going to save a lot of money. Use a smaller zone. This zone might be controlled with a 15-ton unit, this one with a 2-ton unit. Let's schedule a meeting in the 2-ton unit and keep this one in an unoccupied set point. It's going to save, I don't know, in this case, 5 times less energy to condition this one versus this one. So knowing this each zone and this HVAC size of each zone is also really important, and that's what an energy audit will help you identify. Set points. So when the zone is occupied, EPA recommends 74 degrees cooling, 68 degrees heating. Every degree you adjust impact your HVAC use by 1.5%. I understand different churches have different DNA and people are comfortable at different set points, but do we have to hold 68 degrees cooling? If we can go up to 72 or 74, that's a 4 to 6% savings, right? But if that zone is not in use, it should automatically go to an unoccupied set point, which EPA recommends 85 for cooling, 50 to heating. Maybe that's too aggressive for you. Compromise at 60 and 80. It's going to make a large impact. Sorry, I'm going a little faster for the sake of time, but every degree changed is 1.5% savings on the HVAC portion of your bill. A few other things to kind of take away from this: simultaneous heating and cooling. Let me show you real quick. So if my heating degree set point is 68, my cooling degree is 70, that means I have a 2-degree delta or dead band. I could be cycling back and forth between heating and cooling throughout the day. We should have a 5-degree delta between the temperature set points, or just turn on one and keep the other off, if that makes sense. We did Westmont College, which is an evangelical college up in Santa Barbara, California. This is an art room. They were cooling, as I wanted you to see through the thermal imaging scan at 60 degrees, but then they had their electric strip heat on at 177 degrees at the same time. And this is a garage door. So they were heating and cooling at the same time and then throwing it out the window or the garage door. But we see this as a common practice in areas like sanctuary. You have a set point here, you have a set point here, and they fight against each other. This one's heating, this one's cooling. A fellowship hall, we see that all the time. So those are things just to look out for. What do you see wrong with this thermostat? The thermostat is right over the microwave. Cohen, you're good. Sorry, my son just came home from school. Thermostat is right over the microwave, and as the microwave is on, the thermostat misreads because the heat is rejected into the thermostat, and is it causing the cooling to come on or the heating to come on based on the season. So thermostats in direct sunlight, uh, under a lamp, under a coffee pot, just relocate this microwave, relocate the copy machine, things like that. That makes a really big impact as well. You're good. So to tying it all up, imagine instead of running 100% of the time, all zones with 100% outside air in aggressive set points, imagine instead only conditioning the time the zone is occupied. Keep everything else in a comfortable, not aggressive set point, right? Creating a team environment, sometimes it's hard to do in a house of worship, but knowing the theological and ethical impact of energy use can create more of a team environment and cause people to become more of a kind of team, energy efficient centric committee. Only conditioning the zones that are occupied, no outside air unless needed, nearly 70% savings or HVAC savings or nearly 40% energy savings, and that's all no cost. So I think I made my point there. I'll kind of move forward. Yeah, this is all no cost. Um, all right, lighting, one slide on lighting. This is if I'm walking and I'm looking at you have these older T12, they're like, it's called 12/8 of an inch, and they're old. They flicker a lot, the linear fluorescence. If you move from those to T5 is more like an LED equivalent wattage, um, keeping all things like the same number of weeks per year, numbers, same bulbs, keep all things the same, you're going to see a 73% savings by going from a T12 to a T5 or an LED. That's what I mean here. So it makes a difference. When you're out of your classroom, Mythbusters, I don't know if you've seen Mythbusters on Discovery Channel a number of years ago, but they did a study on lights that when you turn your lights off and turn them back on, there's a surge of energy, but the payback is 23 seconds. So if you're gone from your office, classroom, whatever, longer than 23 seconds, it pays to turn your lights off. All right. Here's an audit we did at Harvard Divinity School up in Boston. I'm just talking about the strength of the envelope. This is a double pane window versus a single pane window, and you see an 8-degree difference. The stronger your envelope, the less heating and cooling you're going to use. So I just wanted you to see it. One slide. There's much more to envelope. For the sake of time, I just wanted to show you. So going to, from a single pane to a double pane or UV film helps your R rating and strengthens your building envelope. We're still good. Okay, just a few more minutes here. Plug load, things you plug into the wall. The only thing I'll say that is up to 75% of plug load is what we call phantom load. So if you have your lamp or a computer plugged into the wall, and even if it's off, it's still drawing energy. So getting smart plug load adapters to help cut off the phantom load will make a big impact on plug load. Oh, this is just some stats. Sorry, I have the pictures of y'all. I'm trying to move out of the way so I can read. Uh, of what we did at the Episcopal Diocese in Wyoming, I just wanted you to show the savings equivalent to a lot of the projects we identified were 34,000 gallons of gasoline, 370, 1,000 miles driven by the average gas powered car. So just every kilowatt hour or therm that you save has a environmental impact. We're creating a healthy earth and we're redirecting money back to the ministry of your house of worship. I'm sorry for the sake of time, I'm just going to keep moving forward. Episcopal Diocese, again, this I've talked about this. This is their energy cost savings per church. Um, you know, one of the churches we did, there's so many different things, but all the no cost kilowatt hour savings, right? 8,200, 10,000, 33,000 St. Matthews, 46,000 in Lincoln. There's so many of these. This is all no cost and low cost things that we identify. Understanding energy use, right? The utility bills, the peak demand, things we talked about. Then kind of putting on your energy audit hat, identifying why you're doing what you're doing, especially the no cost makes a big impact. And last two slides, anytime your house of worship is going to change HVAC, lighting, building envelope, your utility company, specifically your electric company, has money available. They're mandated through the Public Utility Commission to create a pot of money, and you're actually paying into it on your utility bills. Might be called energy management fund or something to that effect. You're paying into it. They create it and they give it away first come, first serve to clients that request the funding, especially if you're going to install a new, more efficient HVAC unit, LED lighting, new roof, new windows, etc. So please reach out to your electric company prior to anything you do on that intersection. And that is it. I do have a link to the Go Green, Save Green, and Carol, okay, I'll let y'all talk about that, but I will. mention that we do have a free ebook. If you're interested, feel free. If you have any questions interested in an audit, just feel free to send me some more information. Here's my email. Here's my cell phone. Feel free to call. And that is it.
Thank you so much, Colby. And again, we will send everyone this recording and